Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. There's an interesting part in these executive actions that President Obama is determined to take. And one of the things he says here is that, this is number 16, clarify that the Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare, does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about guns in their homes, and yet it specifically does. The Obamacare Act specifically does prohibit healthcare professionals from asking you any questions about guns that you have in your home and about ammunition. It is flatly prohibited. So here is President Obama and Obamacare. This is his law. Now, it turns out that this is one of those things. You got to pass it to find out what's in it. And President Obama apparently did not even know that Harry Reid, who's a fanboy of the NRA, at least he was then, had inserted this provision in Obamacare. But it is very clear, the provision in Obamacare is quite specific, that healthcare professionals are not allowed to ask questions. It has a specific section. This is found on page 2037 for those of you that are keeping score at home. On line 23, it's entitled Protection of Second Amendment Rights. This is from Forbes magazine now. This section contains 5 provisions mostly dedicated to shutting down conversations about guns in medicine. So I'm reading again from Forbes magazine, right from their study of the Obamacare Act. Wellness and prevention programs may not require the disclosure or collection of information relating to the presence or storage of a lawfully possessed firearm or the use of a firearm. The next provision states we can't collect data relating to owning or using firearms. Provision 3 states we can't use or maintain records of individual ownership or possession of firearms or ammunition. Provision 4 limits the ability to determine the rates or eligibility for health insurance based on gun ownership. And that's because they want to say, well, look, if you got a gun in the house, we're going to have to charge you more for your premiums because of the risk that you are creating from everybody around you. The final provision related to gun owners is that individuals do not have to disclose they own a gun. So that's right there in Obamacare. So here is Obama using an executive order, and I don't know if you're going to hear this anywhere else in the media. I haven't heard anybody else talking about this, but you have Obama issuing an executive order that is in direct violation, that directly transgresses his own law. This is Obamacare. He says, I'm fine with you referring to this as Obamacare. And Obamacare says healthcare professionals cannot ask you any questions about ammunition, about firearms, whether you possess them, whether you have them, whether you own them, whether you store them at home. They can't do it. They can't even ask the question. They can't keep track of the data. And here is President Obama, Executive Order number 16, clarify that Obamacare does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about gun in their homes. I just read you the stuff. It flatly prohibits that. It's unambiguous. And Harry Reid's responsible for the insertion of that little detail in Obamacare. You talk about Obama transgressing the law in order to impose gun control. You just heard he's just doing it right there. That's a flat contradiction of his own law. Now, here's clip number 4. This is Cory Booker. He's a mayor in New Jersey, mayor of Newark. And this is from something he said in 2002. He's on C-SPAN back in 2000, rather. This will go back 12 years. But remember, I played you the soundbite from Dianne Feinstein back in 1995. She's the one that was responsible for the ban on sporting rifles in 1994. And she said, look, if I had the votes, I would have banned all guns. I would have said to Mr. and Mrs. America, turn in your guns. If you don't, we're going to come get them. So this is the mindset of liberals. It's the same mindset that Hitler had, the same mindset that Stalin had, the same mindset that Mao had in communist China. We've got to disarm our own citizens. That's the way Dianne Feinstein thinks. Now, I'm not saying she's Hitler. I'm not saying she's Stalin. I'm not saying she's Mao. I'm saying she thinks exactly like these dictators, totalitarian dictators think. Here's Cory Booker. This guy wants to be the governor of New Jersey. So he is an influential, on-the-rise lawmaker. Here's what he said to C-SPAN in 2000.
Would you ban guns?
I am very much one that is against handguns. And I know in my urban environment, I see little to no need for guns at all. And I think that the availability of guns and the ease with which even young people can get their hands on them is just horrendous. And I would, if I had the power to do so, I would. In fact, we're even looking towards doing some local level handgun legislation. I'm going to take every step I can to get guns out of the hands of those who commit crimes or those who might commit crimes.
Get guns out of the hands of those who might commit crimes. You see that? He wants to punish people for what they might do. That's the thing that spooks me about this mental health provision. You know, we had that caller, well-intentioned caller, well-meaning caller. I don't doubt her sincerity whatsoever. But she wants to turn over to psychiatrists the right to decide who is eligible to own a gun in the United States of America for their own protection. I, for one, am not willing to do it. But this is what President Obama wants to do. That's why he's got he's got really five provisions, executive orders that deal with mental health, because that's the battering ram that they want to use. They'll just get everybody declared mentally imbalanced and take away their guns. That's where they are going with this. Now, one of the problems that you have with this gun control legislation that Obama is presenting is that Democrats oppose it. This is what a lot of people don't understand yet. Democrats don't want this. Democrats don't want to be within miles of this. They know that this is lethal. They know that this is toxic. They know that the people in their own constituents want to have the right to own guns for their protection and for the protection of their families. They want that protected. They want their right to have a sporting rifle protected. And so they're really lukewarm about this. Harry Reid is caught kind of in a bind here because he's been a big-time NRA guy. I played sound bites for you before. Harry Reid dedicating a state-of-the-art gun shooting facility in Nevada. Wayne LaPierre was the keynote speaker, and Harry Reid couldn't say enough wonderful things about Wayne LaPierre, couldn't say enough wonderful things about the NRA, and he's got footage on his own website of him shooting guns. So Harry Reid has got a real problem here, and he's the majority leader in the Senate. He's going to be the guy that's going to be responsible to get legislation through the Senate. Now, here's a couple of excerpts from a piece by CNN. Dana Bash is the reporter on this deal, and it features some sound bites from Harry Reid. And I want you to listen to how tentative Harry Reid sounds about this. And the reason this is significant, and well, I'll explain after we play the sound bites, but the reason this is significant is we know now, I mean, even CNN is telling us that a weapons ban is not going to pass Congress, not even going to get through the Senate, which means that President Obama is going to have to do this by executive order. He's going to have to go around, go over Congress and the Constitution to get it done. So here is a CNN report on how tentative the Democrats are about gun control.
The numbers around the country, most people favor having the ability of people to carry guns. American people want us to be very cautious what we do.
Gun control is still such political dynamite. A House GOP leadership aide tells CNN the Democratic-controlled Senate must go first. Yet the Senate Majority Leader, a gun owner himself, won't yet commit to any legislation.
Let's be realistic. In the Senate, we're going to do what we think can get through the House. I'm not going to be going through a bunch of these gyrations just to say we've done something.
Never mind Republicans, Harry Reid's reluctance to go through, quote, gyrations mostly comes from some half a dozen vulnerable Senate Democrats up for re-election next year who represent pro-gun states. Support for any gun control would immediately put them in the NRA's political crosshairs.
But the bottom line here is that Harry Reid is just a little bit concerned about the idea of asking Democratic members, especially in red states, to walk the plank on a sensitive issue like this.
Bingo. I mean, that's exactly it. A lot of people look at Harry Reid and know that he is from a pro-gun state. He's from Nevada, as I said in the piece. He is a gun owner himself. But it's not necessarily about his politics or personal advocacy for guns. It's the political reality that, never mind the Republicans, Democrats, a lot of Democrats who are in vulnerable political situations right now may not want to do anything unless they think it can actually get to the president for a signature.
So the Democrats are the ones that are going to fight this as hard as the Republicans are. This has got no chance. That's the good news. A weapons ban has got no chance of making it even through the Senate, which is controlled right now by the Democrats. Harry Reid doesn't want to be anywhere near this thing. This is like a grenade that'll go off in your hand. It'll blow you up. It's an improvised explosive device in the hands of the Democrats. They don't want to be anywhere near this thing. And remember, there are 7 senators that are from states that prize gun rights. And they're up for re-election next year. I mean, their campaigns are going to have to start a year from now, their campaigns for re-election. They do not want the stench of voting for gun control to be hanging in the air. They're going to hand their opponents a loaded gun, speaking metaphorically, in those campaigns if they vote for gun control. You got senators in places like West Virginia and South Dakota and other places where gun rights are a pretty important deal. And so they don't want to get anywhere near this thing. And what this tells you then is that President Obama is going to have to do this by executive fiat, which is just another word for dictatorial kind of edicts that he's going to issue. Now, the Republicans in the House are already targeting 7 particular Democrats that they think are vulnerable. And I'm not going to give you the names because they don't mean anything to me, won't mean anything to you, but 2 of them are from Arizona, 1 is from Georgia, 1 is from Utah, 1 is from North Carolina, and 1 is from West Virginia. Now, all these are states that prize gun rights. So you have people in the House of Representatives. I mean, they know, the Democrats know, look, if we even try to pass gun control, if we vote for gun control, that's going to hurt us. We've got no chance to retake the House of Representatives in 2014 if we've got a vote for gun control on our resume. So that's the good news. The bad news is President Obama is going to say, well, listen, I tried to do it your way. I tried to do it through Congress, couldn't get it done, so I'm just going to impose it on the American people. Focal Point, AFR Talk.